Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial, and in this tutorial we are going to deal with Laravel Sanctum. And Sanctum can be able to authorize or authenticate our single page applications, and we can be able to use two methods, either by cookie based authentication whereby it uses sessions, Laravel sessions, or we can also be able to use the token. But the focus of today's tutorial is authentication using Laravel tokens. My name is Juma. Welcome to the tutorial. Now, what I have here is a fresh install of Laravel. It's an application that I've installed. And also the other thing that I have is that I'm running my XAMPP. So we also have connection to the database. And as you can see, I can just show you the database that we'll be working on. And as you can see in the database, we have personal access tokens. So the access tokens that you create will be stored in this table here that we have. And then so we are going to start right away and see how we can be able to implement these. And at the end of everything, I'll be using Thunder Client to be able to check our endpoints and see if everything is working out perfectly. I also have opened the project on VS Code. And the first thing I'm going to do is to create a controller. And so I'm going to call it auth controller. So PHP artisan, that is the command I'm going to use, PHP artisan make. And then what we are making is a controller. We are creating a controller. Then the name of the controller, let me call it auth controller. And then we press enter. So when we go to app, the folder app HTTP controllers, we are going to find our auth controller there. So I'm going to click on it, and then you'll be able to do one or two things here. So I'm going to create 3 functions. And the first one is register. The other function I'm going to create is login. Let me zoom a little bit. Let me zoom in a little bit such that you can be able to see it a little bit closer. And then I can close this sidebar. So we have register. Then the other function we are going to have is login. And then the last one that we are going to have is logout. Like that. So those 3 methods that we are going to work with in this tutorial. Now I want to populate each one of them with data. But above here, I want to import whatever it is that we can be able to use. So the first thing that we need here is a user model. So I can just write use app models user. And then we will also need hash. So I'm going to say use hash. And that one is for checking our passwords. And then let me go ahead and be able to populate the register function with the data. So here we are going to send in the username and the password. And then we are going to register the user. So we are going to say request. We are doing validation, so request validate. And then We're going to have an array here of values. And the first thing we are validating is a name. So you need the name of the user. And this one, I will just say required. And we can also say the maximum is 255 characters. Then I think I can just copy this one downwards. We will have email. So for the email, it will be required. And we can also have one more thing to check and ensure that the email is unique, such that we will not have an error of double entry of emails. So here I'm going to have unique. And since the table that we are using is users, I will write there users, such that it ensures that in that table we have unique emails and somebody cannot be able to use an email that is already registered. Then we have password. And this one I will just say required. And we can also just ensure that it is not beyond the values that we are required as a string. So then after that, we will go ahead and now check and log in this user. So we are going to create. So after we have our details, we are going to do the following. User create, and this you populate the data that we are giving here to the database. So what we have is user create, and then we have the details, again the same way we have them up there. So you have name, and in this case name we can say request name or validated request name, and then we have email. Again, this one is going to be request email, and then we have password. It's going to be request password. But for the password, we are going to hash it. So this one I'm going to change a bit. We are going to hash it because the way it is stored in the database is not in plain text for purposes of security. So hash make request password, like that. So we have the name, email, and password. After that, once we have been able to save this information, because the user that we're having is a new user, we are going to create a token. In this case, we are going to say user token. So it's the token belonging to this user that we have here. So user create token. And then we are going to put the name of the token, auth. I'm calling it auth token. And also inside here, we can be able to, if we want, we can be able to pass the token ability. So we can say maybe admin or something if you want to also have some roles inside your application. And in this case, that token can be able to perform some specific requests that other tokens cannot be able to perform. But in this case, we just want to just create a token. So we will say plain text token, like that. So we would have created our token. Then the next thing we are going to return response. And inside here, we are going to pass an array of values. The first thing is the message. And here we can say registered successfully. And then we can have the token. In this case, we can say, we can set it to the value that you have created above the token. And then lastly, maybe we can also mention the token type. And in this case, the token type that we have created is a bearer token. Bearer token. And I think our register function is okay. We are going to do something similar on the login function. So we will repeat some of the things that we have in the register function. So the first thing is this validation. I can copy this one. Instead of typing it in all through, I paste this one here. And here we are only requiring the email and the password, nothing else. And then after that, we will then check if this user has the correct credentials. In other words, the password and every other thing is okay. So we are going to first of all check our database if we have this user. So user, then we set it to the user model, and we can say where email. So the email is the same as the email that you're passing in. In other words, we are checking if this email is existing in the database. So request email. And then after that, we are going to just get the first value, because we do not need to bring all the emails in the database. And then the next thing that we are going to do is to be able to check whether the email and the password are okay. So we can use this function here, if, and we are checking for the negative. So we are saying if user, and here we are checking if the user does not exist, and also this password and email combination hash. So we are checking the password hash check request email and request password. Comma request password. If the password, we are checking if the password matches the password that is stored in the database. That is actually what we are checking, if the password matches the password that we are stored in the database. So request password matches the user password. And the user password is the password that we are getting here. So here, when we work on this function here, it's getting us the user whose email matches this one. So we are checking if the password for this email is the same as what the user has typed in the request that they are making. And then, of course, because we are checking the negatives, then we are going to return an error. So here we are going to throw validation exception. We are going to throw validation exception, and we are passing in messages with messages. In this case, we are going to have email, or we can just say message, and we can say the provided credentials, the provided credentials are incorrect. If this is not the case, then the next thing that we are going to do is log in our user. So we are going to return a token. So again, here I'm going to say token. I'm just going to copy whatever it is that we have above here. So we're just going to copy and say token user create token, auth token again, and then come and paste it here like that. And then we are going to return our response in a similar fashion. So again, I will return the response in that fashion, like that. And here we can be able to pass 201 because the error the success code 201, the code 201. And then so that is that. We have been able to work on the login and the register functions. Afterwards, I would like us to work on the logout. And inside here on the logout function, we're just going to check for the request user and delete their token. So request and destroy their token such that they will not be able to continue working on in our application. In other words, they will be, and we can say tokens. So user tokens delete, and this one deletes all the tokens that this user has. So in other words, they will be completely their credentials will be completely destroyed until when they require to log in again, they will require to provide their username and password. And then we are going to return a response. And inside here, I'm going to pass a message. And we are going to say user logged out successfully, like that. User logged out successfully. And still we can pass the status code 201, like that. So we have our register method, then we have our login method, and then we have our logout method. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to set up some routes that will be able to assist us to be able to reach these methods. So you click here and go to routes api.php, the API routes, and then we clean up this one here. And then I'm going to use this controller that we are calling auth controller. So up here, I'm going to use app http controllers and then auth controller, like that. And then I'm going to have several routes here. Of course, we have this one for getting a user. We will attempt to use it sometime. And as you can see, this route that we have here is protected by Sanctum. So in other words, for you to be able to access this route that we are calling user, you must have a token. So if you do not present a token, it will just return unauthorized. But if you have the token and it is the correct token, then it will return to you the details of the user. So I want to also create a login route. So route, let us first of all begin with register. So let me just create a post request, a post route. And here I'm going to call it register. And then the controller is auth controller class. And the method that we are calling is register. And then I want to copy whatever it is that we have there, and then change this to login. And then I will create one more route for logout. And in this case, the logout route will be similar to what we're having above here. So it will be a protected route. In this case, we are saying middleware. Inside here, we are protecting it by auth Sanctum. And then we can also set it as a post request. And then here it is logout. After that, we are having a function. No, we can just call the controller direct. There is no need of a function because we have a controller method. So I can copy this. And paste it here. So auth controller. And then I will finish it like that. But then it is auth controller logout. Like that. So I will save. If everything is okay, then we expect this to work. So I'd like to go to Thunder client, and this one you can install in your VS Code, but you can also, in the place of Thunder client, you can also use Postman. So we are going to create a request here, and what we have is a post request. And the first thing I want us to do is first of all register a user. So we can say localhost HTTP. That is the endpoint we are going to hit. HTTP localhost 8000 / API / register. And in our headers, we are going to say accept application JSON. And then we are going to, in auth, we are not going to do anything. In body, we can pass. Let me just put some text data in body, and then such JSON data here, such that we can be able to use it. So I'm going to just have name, and in this case the name I'm going to save is as coders base. And then we are going to have email, and the email I'm going to set it as codersbase@gmail.com. It is not a real email. And then let me just maintain specific way in which I'm doing it. And then we have the password, And in the password, we are going to have, we can just have password like that. So I think our request is perfect. Let us make it and see what we are going to get as a response. So let us see. Send. We are having an undefined variable request, and I think it's because of something that I forgot to do. So we will go back here and write in the register function request and request, and we are going to do this for all of them. So I will copy this and paste it also here in the login method, and then also paste it here in the logout method. And I think we can go back and try. So I'm going to send the request. It's saying processing. And as you can see, registered successfully. And we have a token, this token here. And it's telling us the token type is bearer. So that is very successful. I would like us to log out this user before we attempt to log in again, now using the login method. So I'm going to copy this token of ours, and then we are going to hit the endpoint logout. And then for the logout endpoint, it is a protected endpoint, so we are going to send our request with a token. So we are going to put our bearer token here. Let me paste it. So I don't know. Okay, let me copy and then paste. I do not know why it's not copying our. Let me copy again. Let me just copy everything here and we attempt to isolate it. So paste. Okay, so I'm only interested in the token. So let me just delete everything up until here and then every other thing. All right. So we are going to visit the route logout and see what we get. So when I click that one, as you can see, the user has been logged out successfully. So that one is perfect. And now because the user is no longer logged in, if we go to check in the database, you will find, because there's only one user that we are working with in the personal access tokens database, you will find there is no user who is in existence in this. There is no data that is in existence here. So as you can see, there is no this one is throwing a lot of errors at me. There is no entry here of a user who has logged in. So let us attempt again and log in now and see what happens. So we can now hit the endpoint login, and then whatever it is that we have, we will remove this one here, and what we are having is only what we have in the body here, and we will not require to send the name in the request, so it's just email and password. So let us attempt and see. Login. As you can see, the email is already taken. We are visiting the login. Okay, let me see. What do we have in the login controller? First, validate. Let me just check. There is in our endpoint, we have login. That is okay. I don't know why it's trying to behave as if we are attempting to register. So, okay, auth controller. So in the here we have register. and here we have login. So login checks. Oh, there's something that I left here which says unique users. It is not necessary. What we just need here is required. Just required. That one is the only thing that we need. And maybe even for the password, we can just have it as required. I think that was the issue that we were having. So let us attempt the request again and see. So how you go to our place and try to make a new request. And now you can see it says registered successfully. I think there's also something that I left that I didn't change. So we can change this one to logged in successfully. All right, so if we attempt again, let me see. But now this one, you do something wrong. You create 2 tokens, but it doesn't matter. We will delete them when we log out. So let us try and log in again. Perfectly, and it says logged in successfully. So that one is okay. And now if we want to log out, again, we will visit the logout route, but we must put this token. But if you check in our database, you will find that we have tokens here, and I believe they must be 2 because we have sort of like created twice. So ignore all. Yes, we have this one, and it's because we have hit the endpoint of login twice, so it has created the tokens twice. But that is something that you can be able to handle. So now I want us to log out, so we are going to copy this value here, and we are going to pass it. So in this case, we are going to pass a bearer token. We are going to paste it here, and I do not know why Thunder does not want to behave. So again, we will copy everything. Let me just, yes, we have it. We have pasted it there. I think even the other time we were supposed to just paste using the shortcut. So here we have the token, and we are checking the logout route, and when we click send, again, user logged out successfully. Thank you very much. That is the end of the tutorial video. I ask that you may subscribe and comment such that we can be able to engage with each other successfully. Thank you very much.